Then we come to the moment when the king's sleep is disturbed and he asks for the chronicles of the kingdom to be brought before him. And he reads for the first time how Mordechai had saved his life by overhearing the plot of two courtiers who wished to assassinate him and had told this to Esther. And so now he realizes he has to reward the uncle of Esther, Mordechai. He wakes up.
בלילה ההוא נדדה שנת המלך ויאמר להביא את ספר הזיכרונות דברי הימים.
And suddenly Haman comes to ask for the king's royal seal to seal the fate of the Jews. And the king sees him in the courtyard. What does the king say?
ויאמר המלך מי וחצר והמן.
And it's a tradition that everyone bangs on the table when they hear his name.
והמן
Bah! As if we wish to blot out his name even from the book of which we read. Esther comes into the story into a harem of the king. That is not a great position to be in. Yet she emerges at the end as the savior of the Jewish people, because Esther has the courage to appear before the king, not once, not twice, risking his wrath when she is not invited, to tell him what is going to happen to the Jewish people. Things go from bad to worse, and suddenly a complete change. And finally, when the king realizes of Haman's plan and that Esther herself is in danger, the key point in the story is, of course, that Haman doesn't know that Queen Esther herself is a Jewess. And therefore, when this is revealed to him, he realizes he must beg the king for mercy. And in front of Esther and the king, he throws himself before the king. Unfortunately, he chooses the royal bed on which to do so, where Esther is close by. And the king, seeing this, asks him, "Do you intend to seduce my wife in my own home?"
והמן נופל על המיטה אשר אסתר.
And in the end, the king understands. And so Esther emerges with such credit as a woman of great moral courage. Yet we would not have known that at the beginning. One of the most joyous moments in the reading of the scroll occurs when Mordechai leaves the king's palace, having been given the role of chief minister in place of Haman. He is dressed in royal robes and he has a golden crown around his head. That day becomes the day on which our enemies bite the dust and the Jews, for once, triumph. It is a day of great joy for the Jewish people. Cantor Nathaniel Baram will now sing with me that moving moment, that joyous moment.
ומרדכי יצא מלפני המלך בלבוש מלכות ועטרת זהב. ומרדכי יצא מלפני המלך בלבוש מלכות ועטרת זהב. ליהודים הייתה אורה ושמחה, אורה ושמחה וששון ויקר. ליהודים הייתה אורה ושמחה, אורה ושמחה וששון ויקר.
Can it be serious enough to be considered a book of the Bible? Well, obviously, the rabbis felt so. And they realized that we could learn so much by reading this book and understanding it, leading to the way we Jews practice Judaism. Relationships, behavior, how we should behave in this world. There's another fascinating fact about Purim. It's the most physical of our holidays. We eat, we drink to excess, we send gifts of food to others. Now contrast that with the holiest day of the Jewish year, Yom Kippur. It's not a physical holiday, it's the very opposite. We fast, we don't drink, We don't eat for 24 hours. And yet they share the same Hebrew word, Purim and Yom Kippurim. The word Yom Kippurim means a day like Purim. How can such a holy day, when we fast and pray to God, be compared in any way to Purim? And there's a great answer. Purim is overwhelmingly physical. Yom Kippur, overwhelmingly spiritual. But on each day, we are required to serve God fully, with our bodies and with our souls. So the lesson is clear. God can be served not just in the solemnity of a Yom Kippur, but also in the revelry of a Purim. God is present not just in the synagogue and spirituality, but He is also there in the open food and drink day of Purim, where you might think spirituality seems so remote and hidden. Because it's much more of a challenge to remember God in revelry than to remember God in solemnity. So when we eat and we feast and we drink to remember the Creator of all mankind, that's something, isn't it? And that is what we are commanded to do.
Purim, simply stated, is the story of a powerful individual standing up and saying, we're going to kill the people of Israel. And his plan goes forward far and wide. But just when all hope seems lost, the tide completely reverses. And his own plot turns on him. And that hate-monger and his circle are instead consumed, just the way he had intended, to victimize the Jews. And so we celebrate Purim by being happy that instead of being extinguished, we prevailed. There's a key passage in the Megillat Esther in which Mordecai sends a message to Esther through the chamberlains, and he says, do not imagine that you can escape into the king's palace and that the fate of all the Jews will not befall you as well. For if you persist in remaining silent, then relief and deliverance will come from some other place, while you and your father's house will perish. And who knows whether it was for just such a time as this that you attained your royal position. For just such a time as this. The time in our own lives is hidden. We don't know when it becomes crucial. You walk into a room, in your place of business, in your school, in your home, and there's an opportunity for the mood to go to the left or to the right. And at just such a moment, we have an opportunity to be upbeat, to be supportive, to make a difference for the other. This is the message of Purim. Not every day is a cataclysmic opportunity to save 120 provinces of peoples, but every moment is an opportunity to make a difference for ourselves and for others by being upstanding. And this is the true struggle today. Purim Sameach. Have a freiliche Purim. Thank you so much. Hearing the Megillah. Matanot Levyonim, giving charity to the poor, providing for the needy so that they too can celebrate. We'd like to thank you very much for watching this special broadcast about Purim here on Jewish Life Television. I'm your host, Benjamin Stewart Thompson. Purim Sameach. And now it's time for our Seudah.